Good evening again, friends. Tonight, our topic is Nature Supports the Speaker of Truth. I'd like to read the phrase from Living Wisely, Living Well for today from Swami Kriyanandaji. Speak the truth always, and nature will support you in every undertaking. As I was coming here today, I was walking through Ananda Village. As you know, I'm still here visiting the community, and I thought about all the wonderful things Swami Kriyanandaji has been able to do here, and all the different colonies and the centers and all the people that he reached, and all the books that he wrote and all the music he wrote, and his whole life was in attunement with God, and thus in attunement with truth. And this is how he was able to be so magnetic. He was able to reach so many people, how he was in attunement with truth, with God, with his guru. And for all of us in our lives as well, this is how we can accomplish anything. This is how we receive inspiration. This is how we receive high thoughts, ideas, insights from attunement with God and Guru through living in truth. And we live in truth. As we live in truth, we see that our lives become blessed, but also we become strengthened. We have more power of accomplishment. What we say becomes materialized. People come and help us in our endeavors. Opportunities come, various things come to help and support us. It seems like the whole universe comes and helps us. You can tell a person who lives in truth by even their posture, how they stand, how they walk, their demeanor, their eyes, their vibrations, all of these things, their voice, the power within the voice, the power to change circumstances around you through your voice, through your eyes. Master at one point was able to draw the money he needed just through his eyes. There are various beautiful things and stories from the lives of saints that as they lived in truth, more and more whatever they needed came. And we think, oh well, I'll say this little untruth, I'll tell this thing that nobody will know, but God knows and the universe knows. And what happens is you become weaker and weaker and weaker, and your life doesn't work, and after a while no one listens to you. And so for a devotee, it's vital to live your life in attunement with truth all the time. And I was reading some various beautiful stories of this, an example of this. One of them is, it's a sweet story of that Tolstoy told. It's in Autobiography. Master told the story of the three hermits who lived on an island, and but they were very humble. They were open to God. They were receptive. Miracles happened around their lives, and so they had a very simple prayer: "We are three, Thou art three. Have mercy on us." And you would think, well, it's very little simple, silly maybe prayer, but they were in tune with God. And this is the thing, in that simplicity of truth, it doesn't matter what you know, what's in your brain. Truth is in your heart, it's in your soul, it's in your consciousness. And so they would pray that, and many miraculous things happened around them. And so the local bishop from the mainland came, and he wanted to meet these hermits, and he thought, well, my goodness, if they're making miracles happen, I want to help them to be better at what they're doing and in their lives by teaching them the right prayers. So he came and he taught them. He said, this is a simple prayer. You should pray these prayers of the church. And they were very happy. They learned the prayers. And then as the bishop was leaving, he was on his boat and he was on the water, and he thought he had done such a wonderful job. So he was leaving, and behind him he hears the voice of these hermits saying, "Oh, wait, Bishop, wait, we've forgotten the prayers. And he looked back and he saw that they were running on the water. And he said, oh no, you don't need the prayers. Keep with what you're already doing. Now this is a simple and it's a sweet story. And we think, oh, well, this never happens, but it does happen. That one who lives in God and in truth draws, attracts, manifests miraculous, seemingly miraculous things in their lives that happened to Yoganandaji at various times in his life. Some wonderful stories, really. And they show you how God's power starts to flow into you more and more as you live in truth. Master had, in the Encinitas Hermitage, he lived there by the Pacific Ocean, and he would, they call that now, it's very sweet, Swami's Beach, right there in front of the Encinitas Hermitage. And he would walk up and down the beach and be there at different times. And one time he saw that some fishermen had come in, and they didn't have any catch for the day. And so they looked very sad and dejected, and he said, oh, what happened, no fish? And they said, no fish today. And he said, well, just try once more. And I think because they knew of this Swami, and maybe they felt his blessings or something, but they went back and they tried once more. And because of his word, because he lived in truth, because he was completely one with God, they came back and they had loads of fish from the catch. The whole universe had helped to make that happen because he was a man who, what he said, it happened. We need to become more in that what we say manifests. We need something, Divine Mother will bring it. The universe will help us. Another wonderful story is that one of Master's devotees, disciples, Oliver Black, was visiting the Hermitage one day, and also in Encinitas, and Master, he wanted to go out for a drive. Now he also would just like to sometimes show these things to the disciples so that they would believe in God and believe in God's power, and that through him flowed God's power because of his attunement with God. So he said this was Mr. Black, Oliver Black, he said, let's go for a drive. So Mr. Black looks outside his window, and it's pouring down rain, and he thinks, does he want to go for a drive in the rain? But I'll go. If my guru wants to go, I'll go. So he gets his rain gear on, and he goes out his door, and then he goes out the front door. Now that took a matter of a few minutes, a couple of minutes. When he opens the front door and he goes out, what does he see? Ground is dry, everything around him is dry. He looks around, there's no rain anywhere. Master standing there. He looks at him and he says, for you, Oliver. Now, how did this happen? These are beautiful stories of really how we should live our lives in God consciousness. Live our lives as every day more and more in attunement with truth. And we will find that those truths begin to really strengthen us and empower us with God's power. And really all we need to do is look through the autobiography of a yogi, all the fabulous stories there of those great saints and masters who lived in truth. And I was thinking today about the levitating saint, and how he just was so enwrapped in God's bliss that he would just begin to lift up. His body no longer was heavy. The universe just allowed him to lift up. And there was Pranabhananda, who had a second body. Now, nature created a second body for him so that he can do his work. Now, all of us may want to have something like that to help us. And also how Rama, Lady Mahashaya, raised his disciple from the dead. And then there was Giribala. She never ate. For 56 years she hadn't eaten by the time Master met her. Now, nature was supporting her because she lived totally in God. Same with Teresa Neumann. She hadn't eaten for 25 years by the time Master met her because she was totally in God's vibrations of truth. And there's one story there that is pretty miraculous. I mean, when I first read this, I thought, I mean, there's so many things you kind of have to put on a shelf at the beginning, but this was one of them for me. With Swami Sri Yukteswarji, when he was a youth, he was with his guru, Ledi Mahashaya, and he always had these worries and doubts, and his mind wasn't that strong at a certain point. So he came in one day and he said, "Oh, Master, I'm ailing, and I've lost many pounds." And his guru, Lahiri Mahashaya, says, "Yes, I see that you have made yourself sick, and now you think you are thin." And he says, "Oh, well, Master, I'm really ailing." So he said, "Well, let's see how it goes tomorrow," Lady Mahashaya says. So Swami Sri Yukteswarji, he goes home and he thinks, I don't know what happened there, but the next day he comes, he says, "Guruji, I feel better, and look, I'm much better." And his guru says, "Yes, now you invigorate yourself." I just love this story. And he says, "No, Master, I was really ailing." And he says, "Well, let's see how it be tomorrow." And he goes home and he comes back and he says, "Now I'm ailing again." And he says, "Oh, now today you think you are thin and you're unwell." And he says, "Master, why do you say these things? I am really ill." And then he says, "Are you saying that if I think I am well, that I will be well?" And his guru says, "In this moment," or something like that, you are well. Just from his words, the power of God through him, uttered through his speech to the disciple. At that moment, Swami Sri Yukteswarji, what he tells, and Master tells in autobiography, is he not only increases in strength, he increases in weight, and he gains 50 pounds in one moment. No, I wouldn't want to gain 50 pounds in one moment or at any point, but he gains his strength and weight from the power of the words and truth of his guru. And he goes home and his mother says, "What has happened? Are you swelling from dropsy?" But these are wonderful stories to just urge us on to speak the truth, to live in truth, and see how those things will manifest in our own lives. Master, one time, he had some people in his interview room, and he wanted to share some carrot juice with them because he had a manufacturing plant there for vegetable juices, and so he told one of the monks, just bring some in and I want to share it. I think Swamiji said there were 10 people there. And so he came and he whispers to Master that this just not enough for everybody, it's just a little bit left. Master just says, "Oh, just bring it." I mean, we have to realize Master was a Christ, a Krishna, because of his complete attunement and oneness with God. Everything changed around him, if it needed to change. And so he said to the monk, just bring it. So only he and the monk knew that there wasn't a lot left. So Master had the carrot juice and the glasses, and he just kept pouring. He kept pouring in the second glass, he poured in the third glass, he poured in all the glasses. and everyone had the juice, and the monk just couldn't believe what happened. He didn't say much about these things. But as you live that way, these things just happen around you. And when he would speak, there were so many thousands of people who came to Master's lectures when he was in America, I think especially early on. And I just realized so many people came because he gave them things that attuned them to God's vibrations and power and magnetism and truth. So the affirmations that he would do, imagine an affirmation, I am submerged in eternal light. It permeates every particle of my being. I am living in that light. Imagine, he would say affirmations like that and have people do them. Because we think, no, I'm tired, no, it's too early, no, I'm sleepy, or, I don't feel like doing whatever the thoughts are. And these cloud the truth. The truth is from our soul. So if we can do an affirmation and just go through the clouds to the sun of that truth, that this is what I really am. So Master, then that invigorates us. So Master would do affirmations. Then he would do chant affirmations. The one, Oh God Beautiful, that he did with 3,000 people for an hour and a half, people were healed because that is the truth of the soul. So he would have you doing things that would just get you out of, oh, I am this little person, I don't know anything, who am I? I can't get a job, or I can't do this, or I don't know what to do. And those tools, which we all have as devotees and disciples of this path, they work. So he had people chanting. And then I read in Rajasi's book that his first talk that he went, and when he heard Master, Rajasi said he was so nervous. And all the time, he had so many business things going, and he just created restlessness and nervousness. And the very first lecture that he went to of Master's, he said his nervousness just went away. That was a fog. That wasn't who he really was. And so from the vibration of Master, from the chanting that he had people doing, from the affirmations that he had people doing, from the healing prayers, healing prayer techniques, from meditation, all of these things that we have as tools, they create the power of God to flow through us and to make changes in our lives. And there was a time when this man, these techniques are so protecting as well. I was thinking like a shield around us. There was a man who came to Master, and it was after a lecture, and he said, because Master had talked against many people who were just unjust in their lives. And so this man, I guess he was hired to kill Yogananda. And he came up behind him with a gun. Well, before Master left the hall, people said, oh, don't go home alone tonight, because, you said some things that probably you shouldn't have said. He said, oh, God is with me. And he went, and a man came up behind him with a gun. And Master looked at him, and there was God's energy and vibration and love and power flowing through him. And he said, why do you live this way? I mean, you think of a man with a gun in your back and you start preaching to him. He said, why do you live this way? You're not happy. You're not happy this way. And then he said, I demand that Satan come out of you and you change. And the man started trembling. And he dropped the gun and he said, I can't live this way. What are you doing? What are you doing? I can't live this way anymore. And he said, throw your gun away and change your life. And that power of God, I mean, that was a man with a gun ready to kill him. And he was able to change that vibration because he lived in the consciousness of God and truth. And another humorous story was of a man who was drunk, and he came over and he said, oh, Jesus Christ, or something, and Master he just looked at him with such love and power, really. And the man says, "Hey, what you been drinking?" And Master said, "He's got a lot of kick in it." And what he did was he just gave him some of that Shakti, some of the power that was flowing through him. And he left the man, as he said, sobered. And so we have all these possibilities in our lives to affirm the truth. We have our discipleship vow. We're saying that I will live by truth. We have our Kriya Band vow, for those of you who are Kriya Bands, that I will practice these techniques to live in truth. We have a Brahmachari vow, if you're a Brahmachari vow. We have Nayaswami vow, or Tyagi. And I remember when we took the Nayaswami vow, and that was just very powerful, probably one of the most powerful moments in my life. We were lying on the floor, face down, in front of a havan, a burning fire ceremony with Swami Kriyananda. And that was when he said those words to us to repeat. That was with God's power. And I'll never forget it. And we try to live by those vows that we have. But also in our daily lives, we need to live by the vow that I will live in truth. If you're not a Nayaswami or a Brahmachari or not a Kriya Band or not a disciple, whatever, we have to live by our own inner vow that I will always live in truth. And as you do, you find that Divine Mother supports you in so many ways. There was Swami Kriyananda had a talk to give it was at our meditation retreat here, and he got a kidney stone attack like some hours before the talk, the Sunday satsang. And he's a man who certainly lived his life in attunement with God, attunement with truth. And the pain was unbearable, and people tried to say, well, we'll take you to the hospital. He said he just couldn't bear to even get in the car and go down the bumpy roads of the meditation retreat at that time. And so he didn't want to pray for himself. So he said, well, Divine Mother, if you want me to give the service, then you just have to help me. And I can't give it with this pain. And he said that before he finished the prayer, really, he felt just like a wave of God's energy and healing power that came and took all the pain away. And he said it was replaced by bliss. In that moment, the pain went and the joy came. This is how we want to live. If you live this way, whatever needs to happen will happen. Swamiji went. He said, I still really couldn't talk because I was so full of bliss. It's a wonderful way to be. And so in our lives, as we live in truth, miraculous things happen. Divine Mother supports us. The universe supports us. People come who we need help from. Situations, opportunities, solutions. As I was walking over here today, it's about 7:30 in the morning here, and I didn't have the Wi-Fi to be able to get my notes in order, to make them a little bit larger so I can see without my glasses for the class. And I just was coming over. I said, well, I'll just keep the thoughts in my mind. And then just before I walked in the door here, Divine Mother just gave me the thought that, oh, on an iPad you can just expand it with your fingers. And I just pulled my iPad out of my purse and I just tried it, and it was just right there. I mean, just a simple little thing, but it was offered to God and it was offered in truth. So live your life. Don't cut corners and think Divine Mother doesn't see or she doesn't know. She knows. And I see people whose lives don't work, and it's because they don't live in truth. They don't do the practices Master gave. And if we do that, I found that everything works beautifully and works so much that you see special blessings and things that Divine Mother gives you just from her love. God bless you.